Okay. Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's day 4 of our 7-day hormonal health reset. I'm so excited. We have Hannah here today. We have Lacey here. I've heard from so many of you, and I know you can't always make the calls, but you're watching the recordings and you're staying on track as much as you can. And that's the most important thing, just doing what you can. No stress, no pressure. There's no judgment. It's all about how we can fit these things into our normal and regular life without feeling any added stress, right? We're not here to add any stress. We don't want that. We want to make sure that we're alleviating some of that and that we're giving you more opportunities and options to explore different recipes, to start thinking more intentionally about yourself, what it is you're putting in your body, how you're treating yourself, being more mindful of your own morning routine, which is what I wanted to talk about today. So before we even open it up to questions, so while I'm talking here for the next few minutes, if you gals want to think of something that you want to ask me in just a minute, I first have a question for you, and I want you to tell me what your morning routine looks like whether it's an alarm that wakes you up, or it's the sunlight, or it's your kids, or you just wake up on your own. I want to know that. Then what's the first thing you do when you get out of bed? What's the first thing you put in your body? All the things. Okay, so Lacey, you've been here with me every day. I'm going to start with you.
Okay. The alarm wakes me every morning at 5.
Okay.
And I get up. On good mornings, I stretch before anything else. On not as great mornings, I use the restroom and then go straight down and have a glass of water. And then I have a fourth of a cup of coffee, and I do coconut oil and peptides, collagen peptides in that. And then my son, my 11-year-old, is normally already downstairs.
Wow.
When I wake up at 5. And
wow.
If he's not really, yes, and always has been since he was teeny tiny. If he's not already downstairs, then he hears me walking down the stairs and he follows me down. So there's no alone time. But while he's eating breakfast, then I have my quiet time and read the Bible and try to kind of stretch a little bit while I'm doing that. And then the morning flies. The rest of the kids start waking up, and first one's on the bus at 6:30. Second one gets on the bus at 7:20, and then youngest is home with me. So
nice.
Lots of breakfast making in 3 different shifts.
Yeah. Do they all eat the same thing for breakfast?
No, all 3 different usually. My 11-year-old will eat pretty much anything, so it's whatever I have pre-made for him, or if there's a good cereal in the house, he will eat the entire box if I'm not on there to stop it. He's in puberty, starting puberty, growth spurt.
Yes, I've heard about that. I'm terrified with 4 boys. They're going to eat us out of house for sure.
Oh yeah, get ready. It is interesting. He started middle school this year, so. Yeah, they all 3 eat different. The youngest, my 1-year-old, will eat whatever we're eating, so that works out well.
That's right, because we're flipped. My baby doesn't eat anything that we eat, and your kids are just the opposite. Your baby eats everything.
Yes.
Okay, Hannah.
Do you want normal life? Or I have no normal right now.
Well, you can say what it's like right now. You're pregnant, so that's your right now.
Right now, because it's summer and because I'm so pregnant, we sleep probably till 8. My kids, if I'm really well rested, I'll wake up with the sunlight. And that's the best case scenario, because then I can kind of wake up slowly and get coffee and be relaxed before my kids wake up. But otherwise, they wake us up. And they've been really good. They've gotten into a very good routine of just playing quietly. in the morning. And we kind of it's been very, very slow starts for us during the summer. So that's kind of been our summer lull. I don't have a lot of pressure on myself right now because I'm about to have a baby. So I don't have to go to work. I don't have to do anything necessarily. It's just what I can do in a day. So I just take my time to drink water. And then
What time is it right now?
It's 3:15.
3:15 in the morning.
No, in the afternoon.
Oh, I was like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah. When school starts, it will be different because the boys have to be out the door by 8:10 and we walk them to school.
Okay.
And that means everything has to get moving before 7 o'clock. Everybody has to start waking up and getting breakfast and getting ready. And if I don't give them a full hour to get ready, it's usually really stressful.
Yeah.
So,
like they feel rushed.
Yeah. They don't like to be pushed really hard. You know, nobody likes to be rushed. So they take a long time to eat. They take a long time to wake up. They take a long time to eat. Only my oldest wakes up ready to go. That's it. The others are
dragging their feet.
Yeah.
I know that for sure. Okay, so what about you? What's the first thing? So you have a little coffee, you said.
I drink water first. I chug it usually.
Yeah.
I chug like a big thing of water, or more than that even, maybe. And then make coffee. And then drink coffee, and either me and my husband will have some quiet time, or if he's still sleeping, it just kind of depends. We don't have like a super strong routine right now. So, and then when school starts, I hope that we can do better than we did last year. So being more consistent and getting up before the boys and having some time, quiet time, and just getting my mind clear before the chaos of my 3 boys and the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's going to be a big transition here for you pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so this really helps me to see a little bit better, like how you're caring for yourself and your body in the morning. And it sounds like both of you do have that intention of like really making sure that you're taken care of before you serve other people. You at least get yourself fueled, right? You've got lots of good liquids, good water running through you. I think you and I talked about this on the phone during your consultation, Hannah, but for the 2 of you and for everybody else watching this, it's really important to incorporate sort of like an added level or added extra benefits in your water. And whether that's like lemon, like fresh lemon, or lemon essential oil, either one of those is going to really carry a lot of detoxifying properties. And people don't really realize, but our bodies are like constantly detoxing. Our liver works in overdrive all day long, especially in our environment now when we're consuming foods and chemicals in our environment that are maybe foreign substances that like our ancestors didn't have to deal with. So think about like evolution, right? In our bodies, that now that our livers are just these machines that have to work in overdrive, they can sometimes get really tired and burnt out. And so what tends to happen, and I talked to a naturopathic doctor about this, but our bodies are actually not done detoxing until 10 a.m. the next day. So when you go to the restroom in the morning, you'll notice that your urine's maybe a little bit darker than the previous day, especially if you're hydrated. It still has a darker color to it. And that's because, again, your liver's filtering out any leftover yeast or toxins or overgrowth of fungus or bacteria. And so if we put anything in our body that has toxic chemicals or toxic load, then that load is going to put pressure on our liver if we do that before 10 a.m. So a lot of times what I'll do is I won't eat breakfast until after 10 a.m. or I will make sure that I have gone to the restroom at least twice and had 1 bowel movement. If I'm just being open and honest here, and we are, all sisters, all women, we can share the truth of the truth of it all, which is that first urine that you do in the morning is still like yesterday's things, right? But then you need to have at least one more filtration before you start to introduce things like coffee. So I know that's hard for some of you, but if you can think like lemon is going to speed up the process. It also helps to really clean out all those villi. So the villi, there's trillions of these little villi that hang off of our intestinal tract, and they are what catch food. They're what helps our body to absorb nutrients. And then if our villi are blocked with lots of like fatty foods, or like I said before, bacteria, and you're unable to absorb the good nutrients, and your body has a really difficult time being able to process those foods. And so you end up just like letting them all out. And that's when we tend to have a lot of weight gain as well. So lemon, what that does in your intestinal tract is it just goes through and literally strips the lining. So all those villi are like cleaned out. They're flushed out. So again, if you're squeezing a lemon, that'll only do so much, because like it is really good for you. It has good nutrient content. It tastes nice. But if you use 1 drop of lemon essential oil, there's actually 75 lemons that are cold pressed down to make 1 bottle. So 1 drop is like a lot more detoxifying. So squeeze of lemon, drop of lemon essential oil, either one. Start your morning with that. Add that into your water. And then try and see if you can go to the restroom again before you introduce any new foods into your body. So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
It definitely helps with like my brain function as well. Like I have felt so different the days that I don't include lemon than the days that I do. And I think it's because it's not only filtering out like all the yucky foods from our intestines, but it's also helping my body to like cleanse all the other things too, and just to start anew, start fresh every day. So
I am addicted to doing essential oil in my water.
What's that?
I'm addicted to doing essential oil in my water.
I know, it tastes so good, right?
Yes.
It's so
grapefruit too. I like to do.
Yeah, grapefruit's really good. Grapefruit's good for detoxifying. It's also good if like, not right now because you're pregnant, but it's a good appetite suppressant because, and it's one thing too that's really interesting is some people say they're on certain medications, so they can't have grapefruit or they can't have orange juice in the morning because they're on such and such medication. But the essential oil itself doesn't have the acidic properties like the inside of the fruit does, because it comes from the rind. It just has its medicinal properties. So don't worry about that like cross contamination thing happening, which is cool.
It's funny. My grandma has said that to me before.
Yeah, I know my grandma too. So I did a lot of research on it last year when I was working with a few clients that were taking medications. One was heartburn, which I thought was interesting, but that person's heartburn has completely gone away with some of the remedies that I've given her. So I'm excited. But yeah, so I'm going to include in the email today some more information about just lemon and how that can help with the body, especially in the morning time. And then for the last like few minutes here, do you guys have questions? I'm open, whatever you want to ask me. Oh, are you muted? Let me unmute you, Lacey. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Abe was being loud, so you may have said this, but is for putting essential oil in water, I always put it in cold. Is it okay to put it in warm? Does it affect it?
No, so I actually put every morning I have a warm mug of water. I heat it up first just on my stovetop in like a little pot. And then I don't do it boiling because I just don't like, I want to be able to drink it, so I just warm it up. And then once it's warm, I drop 1 drop of lemon essential oil with a tiny little bit of honey just to emulsify the lemon so it's not sitting right on top of the water. Or what some people do is, which is really smart, is you could put that drop of lemon essential oil in the cup first and then pour your water in, and it will kind of emulsify that way just by like the filtration of the water coming in after. Cold or warm is completely fine. You just don't want to put your lemon or any essential oil like in the microwave because that'll break down its healing components for sure. So yeah, good question.
I would like to hear a little bit about what the celery juice has done for you.
Yeah, for sure. So awesome. So
how you make it in your life.
Like on and off for probably the last 6 months, but then the last like 90 days, I did it every day. I did go on 2 vacations, and so I extended, it ended up being longer than the 90 days because I took like a couple of days off in there. And I definitely felt that too when I was on vacation. That was rough. Like I got home and I like came home from the airport and ran to my juicer. That's how much I missed it. It was crazy. But yeah, so celery juice is super high in hydrochloric acid. And I know it's an option for this cleanse. I don't know if you've tried it or not, or if you've been a juicer for a while, but again, you can just use like a bullet or a Vitamix or something and then use a cheese strainer. But that hydrochloric acid, when it goes down into your stomach, it doesn't allow any bacteria to live. Like it kills everything. And so it's actually the first thing I drink before I even go to water. So when I come downstairs, I make my celery juice, and then technically you're supposed to wait 15 minutes before you have lemon water. And so I'll wait like 15, 20 minutes and then definitely like chug that lemon water. And my body like, wow, like it really regulates itself in the morning. So I go to the bathroom once, I go to the bathroom twice, I have a bowel movement, and then like I'm good to go to start eating and go on with my day. But the biggest thing, like the number one reason why I started the medical medium thyroid healing was because I had some really severe symptoms of thyroidism. And I went to the doctor and like basically they said all my hormones were in the normal range. But just to give you an idea of some of my symptoms, like I was getting what the doctor said was alopecia, which I'm 36. I don't know why I would get balding on my head. Like, so I was getting bald spots, like severe bald spots. I was also really stressed. So like stress can throw off your hormones too. But my cycle over the last 11 months was so imbalanced. I would get my period every 7 to 10 days, which is crazy. I'd never really had, I mean, I'd had irregular periods here and there, especially through having kids, but nothing like this. This was really intense. And then the pain was so bad that I met with 3 specialists every single time that I would ovulate or be on my period. Like I was in my bed, like the pain was just horrendous. And I'm not a huge fan of like taking Tylenol or anything like that. So I would take baths and like rub myself down with like clary sage and stuff. But what they did is they went in and did a few ultrasounds. I got tons of blood work done. And the doctor said that I needed to have a surgery done to my uterus and to my left ovary. So I've always had, I know this is like TMI now, but whatever. So you asked, right? I'm not going too deep here.
No.
So my left ovary, like I remember even in high school having uterine or ovarian cysts. And one was super bad that like my left ovary torqued, which means that it was heavy enough to like kind of twist like a cinnamon bread. And so I went into the hospital when I was like 14 and they removed that cyst and like fixed my ovary. Well, my entire life, that left ovary has never performed very well. Like, you know how your period will rotate, not necessarily every other month. It depends. Sometimes it could be like quarterly that you'll have a period from the left side and like then again from the right side, and it goes back and forth. For me, it was consistently on the left side for the last year. And so because that ovary was like already struggling, like I said, I just had this tremendous pain. But when they went in recently, like February, and did my last ultrasound, they said that there were a few cysts and a couple of fibroids, but that my ovary was not torqued. So they couldn't figure out like where this tremendous pain was coming from. And so my doctor suggested, and we made the appointment to do a surgery in March. And that surgery was going to go in, like cut away all the scar tissue from my C-sections, fix the position of my ovary, get rid of like the cysts and the fibroids and everything. And then she talked about doing a uterine ablation just because my periods were really bad. And a uterine ablation is when they like fire off the lining of your uterus so you never have a period again. And all of that seemed very overwhelming to me, like to the point of like, I was like, I need a second opinion. So I went and got a second opinion, and that doctor agreed that I definitely needed surgery. So I read the thyroid healing book cover to cover in that weekend. And I decided like, I'm just going to do this for 90 days and see how I feel. So I canceled my surgery, and my doctor still leaves messages, even emails me like once a week asking about it. And everything has been regulated. So not only has it helped like my skin and my bald spots and my mood swings and my energy, but my period is completely back to normal. I have 28-day cycles and I have 0 to no pain when I have my period and ovulation. So I don't know if you want to call that a miracle, but to me, it has everything to do with what I was doing with the medical medium. So I did the healing teas, I did the lemon waters. Obviously I was already doing that, but I started to really incorporate the celery juice every single day, and then make sure that I avoided, truly, I did not have any meat, but the medical medium suggests that you don't do pork, eggs, sugar, or dairy. So those things I avoided, but I also tried to avoid a lot of grains, and I didn't do any meat. And that was just a personal choice. Red meat obviously just has like lots of different artificial hormones, and you don't know sometimes if it does or not. Like even some grass-fed beef can be hormone injected, and like a ton of fishes too. I did a lot of research on fish. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that this is like gospel or that I'm a doctor in any way. I'm just speaking from my own results, that I feel really strongly that that program worked for me. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I can tell it's going to be a lifelong thing. Like, I don't think that I'm healed, you know. I definitely think that it's going to take time to continue to heal my body and to be just like on top of it. I can't just like jump into eating all of that again and expect to feel well. So I had someone message me on Instagram yesterday that said, so after doing the medical medium, are you able to have dairy now? And it's like, no, like I've had an intolerance to dairy my entire life. I haven't had dairy, like I haven't consumed not even butter in the last 4 years. Before that, I would kind of pick and choose, and then I would take like a lactate just to be able to process the dairy and not have as much pain. But I didn't realize that not completely eliminating dairy at the time was leading to so many other issues. I had really bad cystic acne. I like would get scabs like on my scalp and stuff. And I just like, I was young and didn't really understand what was going on. I don't want to say that, but like ignorance is bliss sometimes, you know, and when you're not aware, like you just kind of do it thinking that this is how you're going to live and that you're a person that fill in the blank. Like I would say, oh, I'm a person that wakes up every day with headaches, or I'm just a person with like really painful periods. But sometimes we succumb to the status quo because we think like, oh, there's no way out. Or we think that the sacrifice of staying off the dairy is greater than the like rewards of feeling well. But I have this little mantra that I've been doing the last like 4 or 5 years with dairy, which is every time I encounter something that may look tempting to me, which now it's not, but the first few years it really was hard, especially because I'm Italian. So like my grandmother's cooking and stuff. But I would say this mantra, I would say my desire to feel well is greater than my desire to fill in the blank, like eat this mascarpone, eat this mozzarella cheese, whatever it is, right? Like I would say my desire to feel well is greater than my desire to eat this cupcake or whatever. And now I feel like I live free of that guilt, that shame, and that I found so many recipes that can really empower me to know that like I can have a wide variety of foods. I can have a broad palate and still enjoy the foods I'm eating without feeling like this terrible shame and pain, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm on a little soapbox today.
Needed.
That's good.
Oh.
Dairy is a hard one to give up. Dairy is a hard one to give up for me. Not for 7 days, but if I think long term, it's a hard one to give up.
Mm-hmm.
But chocolate is the hardest thing for me to give up.
Yeah, so I have dark chocolate still.
That's okay.
There's actually a brand. Oh gosh, is it Hush? I'll find out the brand. It is so good. I will have to ship it to you in France because it's amazing. And there's like another one here, Secret Cacao. She's this incredible entrepreneur locally, and she makes her own with like herbs and tinctures and essential oils in her chocolate, and it's divine.
Very cool. Cool.
Like when you're eating it, you're like not on planet Earth. You're somewhere else. You're like, what is this heavenly thing that I'm consuming? So yeah, I mean, I don't ever think that people need to deprive themselves of the joys of life, like everything in moderation when it comes to sweets like that. But for dairy, I don't suggest that the whole world stay off dairy. If you don't have an intolerance to it, then just do like a little elimination diet for a short period of time, you know, like the 7 days or 30 days or a couple of months, and see how you feel off of the dairy. And then once you start to incorporate it, you will see the symptoms that occur. And if the symptoms far outweigh the benefits, wait, did I say that right? Well, you know what I mean. If the symptoms are severe enough, then you'll make the decision like, hey, this isn't a good choice for me. But if the symptoms, or if there aren't any symptoms, or perhaps the symptoms are minimal, then that's a choice that you can make. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, in my case, was like a lot more severe than most people. But I am finding out too that dairy is so different everywhere. So where you are, I lived in Italy for 3 years, and throughout that time I could have mozzarella cheese all day long and nothing would happen. I don't know if it was because it was the buffalo mozzarella in Italy or what, but I just didn't have any intolerances to it. So there could be just something with the way that we process our dairy here in the US that makes me have such severe intolerances.
I do think there's something to that. One of our good friends cannot have any lactose in the States, but he lived in Belgium with us for 5 years and never had a single problem with any dairy product.
Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would love to know the studies on that. I also think food just tastes better there. Like produce, you know? Everything's just a little more like tasty and flavorful.
The other thing that scared me before is that I found out that the European Union pays out millions of dollars not to trade meat with the US.
Oh, wow.
So that can be a little scary.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I do think too, like, at least when I was living in Italy, they're not so meat centric, you know, like here in the US, meat in the standard American diet is usually the greatest portion on the plate. You know, like you have a hamburger and fries, or you have steak and potatoes. Like the vegetables end up being the smallest part of someone's diet here, where in Europe, it's the complete opposite.
It's much smaller portion size for sure. Much, much smaller.
Yeah. In fact, like when I was living in Italy, we truly didn't have very much meat at all. I never had ground beef or beef ever. I definitely didn't have chicken. They ate like wild boar, rabbit, and pork. That's it.
We have a lot of fish in this area because it's Mediterranean.
Okay, yeah.
But then the French do love their steak. They love steak. But yeah, it's just much, much smaller portions and not every meal.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely not every meal. Isn't that interesting? Just a different way of living, different cultures, different farming standards. Like obviously our farms here are government funded and stuff. So dairy is something that's really pushed on our kids. Even like in schools, a lot of times they don't even have the option of the kids drinking water in the cafeteria. They just give them the milk cartons. And that's just been really hard, you know?
Everyone I've met here thinks drinking milk with a meal is weird.
Right?
Weird.
Yes. It's so different. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh. Did you guys have any other questions though?
When I was off, did you share like what time you get up and your morning routine?
Yeah, I'll do that right now. Thank you for asking.
And
so
can you tell me how long it takes you to juice the celery in the morning? Yeah,
for sure. So when I get up in the morning, I set my alarm for the hour before my kids have to get up. And I actually have to wake my kids up. They don't wake up on their own every morning. So it depends like what the schedule is. Like today, they had to go to the sitter for a little bit because we're going to be packing. And then my oldest son went to camp. So I got up at 6:30 because they had to get up at 7:30. And I just get up, and the first thing I do is I plop down on the floor and I set my intention. So I will meditate for 5 to 7 minutes. Sometimes I do the breath of fire meditation. I can include that in the email too, but it's very oxygenating. So it really gets your cells woken up, and like I could run a marathon after I do it because it works really well. Not that I would, but I'm just saying I could, like I can really feel my body more alert, more energized, and just like ready to take on the day. And during my meditation, what I'm thinking about, I do have Satnam is one of the things I say, which is I am truth, but I'm thinking about the day. So I will literally play out how I want the day to look. And it's like I'm manifesting it. So it doesn't always turn out the way that I tell myself it's going to. And there's variables and things that change, and kids that are cranky, and like things change, it's life. But what I am able to do is I'm a lot more flexible through that because I've outlined what it could look like. And then the things that we don't get to, I can just add to my next day. So I was just writing a friend last night in an email. She asked me like what my daily plan looks like. And I told her I really plan things out monthly, weekly, and daily. So I have this whole like really strict way of planning, just because I have a full-time business and I have 2 kids with special needs and 2 other kids and a husband and stuff. So there's just a lot involved. And if I don't plan, or if I'm not meticulous with the way that I set things out, then nothing's going to get done because my family comes first. And so in order for me to have a successful business, I really have to be intentional about how I carve out time and how I make, I make time. Right? Because people could say like, oh, like I just don't have enough time to do that. Or how can you possibly have time to like prep food? Well, I just time block. I literally like on my calendar will say 1 hour food prep. And when the hour is done, like I'm done. But during that hour, I eliminate all distractions. Like there's no cell phone in the room. Like I don't have anything going like on the TV. My TV hasn't turned on in a month. You know, it's just, there's things that I try to really be mindful of as I'm using that time so that I can get the most out of it. But basically backtrack to my morning meditation. That's my thing, is I just walk through my day and I tell myself like, I can do all these things. And I'll say, like I tell myself how amazing I am, because sometimes I don't feel like I am. So if I say it, and if I say like how, you know, how I have gifts and talents that people need and that I want to share these things, then I will believe it when I'm actually teaching people, because I teach workshops like 3-4 times a week sometimes. And so I have to fill my cup before I can fill other people's cups. And so that's my time. Those 5 to 7 minutes, I just like pour into myself. And then I come down the stairs and I go straight to the juicer. And I actually prep all my celery on Sundays. So it's already cut and it's ready to go. So I don't have to take the time to like wash it and cut it every day. I buy 7 stalks, and a stalk is like a bunch, right? So I buy 7 stalks. I chop them, clean them, do all of that, put them in the fridge, and I have like a big plastic container that they go into. So so that's just like an extra shelf, I guess, in my fridge. And then my juicer is super easy to clean. I made sure that I bought one that was effective, like didn't get too hot, so the enzymes stayed alive. And then I also made sure that I got a juicer that was easy to clean. I know that's not in everybody's budget, but it's something you could definitely set aside money for every month so that you can afford something that's going to save you time. Like that was my biggest thing. So yeah, so it probably takes me like less than 5 minutes to make it, clean it, and drink it. It's pretty fast. Yeah. So, and again, like the prep work is on Sunday. So if I had to like clean and cut it every day, then it would take more time. Yeah. So I wash that, finish all of that, like go to the restroom, pick up a few things around the house. And then I have my water after 15, 20 minutes, my lemon water. And that's about it. That's my morning.
Will you include what juicer you have in the email?
Yeah, I totally will. I'll put a link to my juicer. It's on my social media, but I'll include that. And I can also include the link to the Medical Medium book if you guys are interested.
That'd be great.
Yeah, he's coming out with a new one soon, The Liver Rescue. I'm so excited to read that, you guys. I already pre-ordered it.
That's fun.
And he has one too that I love called Life Changing Foods. It's amazing. It's so good. I love it so much. And I know it's kind of like woo-woo for a lot of people, but I'm Christian and like I totally believe that some people have gifts, and I just think his gift is that he can really feel and see energy of like food and bodies. And so he's using his gift for good. He doesn't like sell products other than his book. And so I don't know, I just really believe in what he's doing. And I think he's using his talent and his gift to really bless people's lives. And I can stand by that because he's changed mine for sure. Oh, it's so good to talk to you today. Okay, so tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Is tomorrow Friday? Oh my gosh, this week is flying by. Okay, so tomorrow at 9, Saturday at 9, and then on Sunday, we're going to be back to 9 p.m. because I have church at 9 a.m. So Sunday night will be our last call. Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.